My name is Peter Dallas. I'm a native-born American of Macedonian descent. I'm here in Skopje right now for the closing ceremony of Birthright Macedonia. It's our inaugural program, the first time we've launched the program, and I want to take a couple of minutes and just tell you what the program is all about. It's an effort, an international effort that we've developed to encourage overseas Macedonians to come to the country here for a period of 3 weeks during the summer months. And while they're here, they'll be involved in an internship work program, a program that is consistent with their educational goals, their career goals, and their general interests. And while they're here for the 3 weeks, they will be living with a host family. Not relatives, but a family that they have no connection with before. One of the objectives of the program is to encourage our youth to come here and connect with native Macedonian youth so that they build friendships that hopefully will last a lifetime. The bigger objective of the program is to encourage our overseas youth to discover their heritage, to rediscover their heritage, or to discover it for the first time. In the next couple of minutes, I'll be interviewing each of our participants, and they'll be sharing their experiences in the past 3 weeks with you. Thank you. Hello again. I'm with Lucas, one of our participants to the initial Birthright Macedonian program. Lucas, tell us something about yourself, where you're from.
I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I study at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, and I have a major in political science and a minor in film and media.
How did you find out about Birthright?
My parents are relatively active in the Macedonian community within Toronto, and conversations with some of their friends, and I think just through my family. Okay. And what motivated you to apply and to come here? Well, I was initially on the fence. I didn't know if I wanted to come. I had a pretty decent job, and I was enjoying that, and I thought to myself that this may be the only time I can have this opportunity. So, of course, I looked into it more, and I found out that I decided that I did want to do it. And, of course, it looks good on your resume, and at the end of the day, I think it's mostly curiosity that I wanted to come here and to see what it was like. My parents had been here before, and they said I would love it. So, and I do, and I had a great time here.
Can you tell us something about your internship program and what you've done for the past 3 weeks?
So I worked at the Institute of Democracy, which is an NGO, not-for-profit. We work on balancing socio-economic development. We develop balancing social and economic problems. We promote active citizenship and participation within elections, and the main focus is in the rule of law, good governance, and multi-ethnic and multicultural coexistence.
Now, your host family, you've never met them before, correct?
I have not met them, no.
And how did that go?
Well, it was fantastic, very welcoming. It was the nicest people here, and I really enjoyed living with Alexander, who was my host father, and he had a son my age, or similar to my age, and we got along really well. Shared a lot of similar interests, and 3 weeks flew by with them. Very welcoming, very generous individuals.
Lucas, like me, we both have a language handicap. You don't speak the Macedonian language, neither do I. Was that a handicap for you at all?
I wouldn't consider it a handicap, no. Just because everyone, like I said earlier, everyone's so friendly, and they're more than happy to assist you, and they don't mind when you try to speak English to them. And you have people here that are fluent, and it's very helpful when they're able to speak the language, and it's almost like you're at home.
I have no problem with the language either. I'm happy to say. Would you recommend Birthright to your colleagues or friends back home?
Absolutely.
You would?
Yeah.
Super. Glad to hear that. And any closing remarks you want to make to our audience?
I think the funniest thing coming here was that it opened my eyes to the customs that my parents practice at home. Like, for an example, we went to Filip one weekend, and we came back, and we passed by a fruit stand, and in my family we always stop at fruit stands as soon as we see one, and there's 15 cars parked outside this fruit stand coming back from Filip, and I was like, my dad does this quite a bit, every time we pass by a fruit stand. And the same thing with cooking the meat. There's no different temperatures. It's either just one temperature, well done. And my dad, I didn't know this. He loves his well done meat, and this makes a lot more sense to me now coming here and understanding that. So,
very good. Thank you, Lucas, for sharing your thoughts with us. I'm with Natasha, and I'm going to have her tell us who she is and where she's from.
My name is Natasha Kalajiowski. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I'm currently part of the Birthright program, which has been an absolute pleasure to be a part of. My future plans at the moment is to start a PhD program this fall in the UK. So this seemed like a kind of great little stepping stone in terms of, you know, getting back into the swing of things in Europe and seeing kind of, you know, what's going on.
How did you find out about Birthright?
I actually found out about it through the Generation M Facebook page. They're the youth organization of UMD, who are doing really, really great work. And so they posted it. I initially contacted Peter to ask some questions, get some further clarification about host families, about internships and that sort of thing. And I was pretty satisfied with the responses, so I thank you for that. And that actually confirmed my decision for it.
And the motivation behind your applying and coming?
It's mostly rooted in the fact that I have been to Macedonia before, and it's, you know, when I came last time, I think a lot of diasporan kids kind of come back, and it's more about seeing family and kind of hitting up touristic areas and that sort of thing. But I really wanted to get kind of involved in the life of living here and seeing what it is to live in modern Macedonia. And, you know, I think a lot of us come from parents who either left themselves or have grandparents who left, so it's kind of far removed, I think, the modern republic versus, you know, when they would have left during Yugoslav times, most of them. So that was kind of my reasoning behind it. I also wanted to kind of engage with other people in the diaspora, as well as, you know, kind of meeting domestic Macedonians around my same generation and kind of creating a sort of cultural dialogue with them.
That's fantastic. You've been here for 3 weeks. Tell us something about your internship program.
So I'm working with Analytica. They're a think tank. They focus mostly on security and environment issues. They publish a lot of policy briefs, a lot of really great groundbreaking sort of research. They recently published a report on intelligence oversight in the communications establishment here in Macedonia, and so my work dealt a lot with kind of piggybacking on that report. I'm going to be publishing a report via Analytica related to intelligence oversight in Canada and what lessons can be learned from the Canadian security establishment for a young democracy like Macedonia. Which is, you know, not only great in terms of research for me and you know, things I can put on my own CV, but, you know, I really wanted to give back to the internship that I was participating in. It wasn't just about, you know, taking something for me. It was about, you know, learning from the internship, but also giving back and, you know, understanding the kind of things that I could, you know, kind of give back to them as well. So it's been quite a good internship.
Now, your host family.
Yes.
Tell us about your host family.
So my host family is absolutely fantastic. I live with Daniela. She is 26, she's a year younger than I am. And that's kind of one of the great things about the program, is that there's such an impetus on kind of finding a contemporary for you in the host family, which I think is really, really a great way to approach the situation. It's, you know, it's making sure that you can kind of engage in, and like I was saying before, kind of cultural dialogue with people of your same generation who've been raised here, you know, we're born here, we're raised here. And like, it's incredible. I mean, Daniela couldn't have been more generous in opening her home to me and, you know, providing me with anything I needed and showing me around the city and, you know, giving me great advice and just, you know, it's been incredible. It's absolutely great.
Good, glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're pretty fluent in the Macedonian language, so you had no problem with the language at all.
Yeah, I mean, fluency is a is a broad term, I think. But no, when I was growing up, my parents and my grandparents would speak to me in Macedonian. When I was a kid, I would have, especially when I was younger, been learning Macedonian and English at the same time. But as I got older, I kind of, I think, went through a typical teenage phase and got quite stubborn, and decided to, you know, kind of demand English at home. And so because of that, I regret this now as an adult, but I've kind of lost that fluency. But one of the great things about coming back is I've been able to, you know, kind of get back into swing of things, so to speak. But I can also read and write in Cyrillic, so that helps a lot in terms of reading signs and that menus and things like that. So yeah.
I envy you. I don't speak the language, and I envy you. Would you recommend Birthright Macedonia to your peers and colleagues back home?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely would. I've been trying to slowly infiltrate my Macedonian friend groups and saying, hey, wouldn't this be a great idea? Like, what are you doing next summer? I had the opportunity to speak to a cousin of mine who's he's my first cousin, but he's a few years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And I explained he had not heard of the program, so I kind of made sure to tell him all the finer details. And he seems pretty set on doing it next year, so there you go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good news.
Absolutely.
That's great. And any wrap-up comments that you want to make about your overall experience here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the one thing that a participant can kind of expect to encounter when they come here is just like the warmness of literally everyone you meet. And kind of the reception that we've had here has been astronomically incredible. It's, people have been so willing to engage with us, speak with us, kind of form, I think, really, really great dialogues with us. And I think one of the great things about the program is so much of its success is contingent upon the incredible people that helped to run it. I think that's the main reason that it's been such a success in the inaugural year. And so like I said before, I highly recommend it. I would do it again if I was able to. But yeah, it's absolutely great.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Natasha. I'm with Erin from the United States. Erin, tell us something about yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Erin. I'm a rising junior at Ohio State University. I was born and raised in Northeast Ohio. Now I call Columbus home. I studied finance and then I minored in Spanish. And I'm here for the inaugural year of Birthright Macedonia.
How'd you find out about Birthright?
Funny story, actually. I found out about Birthright Macedonia through another participant, Filip at Ohio State. A kid in my scholars group, actually, Mario Rostovsky, founded the Macedonian American Student Organization. With that comes the Facebook page. And I was on spring break in Florida, and I got a notification somebody had posted in the Macedonian American Student Organization page. And it was Filip. He posted a link about this exciting new Birthright Macedonia program that had been announced. I clicked on it as I was sitting on the beach with my friends. I was like, I don't have any plans for the summer. This sounds incredible. And here we are.
Great. What motivated you to apply?
Yeah, so I've always identified as Macedonian. I'm 50% Macedonian, so my father's heritage is all Macedonian, and then he married an Irish Catholic woman. So with that, I don't speak the language. I can understand some phrases here and there. My father understood the language very well. It was most of what was spoken in his house when he was growing up. But I kind of wanted to get back in touch with my heritage. We have big family gatherings, and after coming here I can see kind of where those traditions all come from, but all the food and whatnot, I mean, zelnik, pszenica, that kind of stuff, I knew what it was, but now I have a much better context after this trip. So it worked out exactly. I got back in touch with my heritage.
Super. 3 weeks now you've been here. Tell us a little bit about your internship program and what you did and with whom.
Yes. So I interned with Minister Jerry Naumov in the Cabinet of Foreign Investments. It was the best internship I've ever had. As a business major, I mean, his mandate is to attract foreign investors to Macedonia. So I worked with his cabinet of about 6 or 7 ministers, and then another Birthright participant, Filip, who I talked about earlier. And basically what we did was we organized a LinkedIn marketing campaign, specifically to target BPO or business process outsourcing companies that will come to Macedonia to do business, because as I learned, Macedonia has a very competitive pro-business environment. It was really a dream come true. I spent probably an hour to 2 hours every day in the office communicating directly with the minister. This internship was way more than I expected. I learned so much. I learned some stuff about marketing, the numbers, the communication skills was a big thing. I mean, I was using the minister's email account. I was meeting with a minister. How often am I ever going to do that? Am I ever going to do that again? Probably not. So the internship was really a dream come true.
Great. And your host family, tell us about that.
So my host family is Nicola and Simona. They're brother and sister, mid to late 20s. and they were awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't get to know Simona so well. She had an opportunity to come up to travel to the United States. She's a journalist, and she left during the first week, but she was great for the short time I did know her. And Nicola's the man. We share a lot of common interests. We both love soccer. We bonded on the first day. He had a picture autographed, made out to him personally from Andres Iniesta, one of my favorite players from Barcelona. And after that, we just hit it off. We talked about everything, girls. He taught me how to cook some good Macedonian dishes, soccer. We had a blast. I'm sorry I have to leave his house tomorrow.
You mentioned a moment ago that you don't speak the language. Was that a handicap for you at all?
Well, obviously, if you don't speak the language anywhere you go, it's a small handicap. But the thing here is the people are so friendly. I backpacked for 3 weeks around mostly Eastern Europe before coming here. And in other countries where I couldn't speak the language, I felt severely handicapped. I felt unsafe at times. I was lost. That was not the case here. Most everybody does speak some English, especially young people. So if you look around for 3 or 4 minutes, if you're lost, you can find somebody. They'll give you directions. And people here were just warm. They wanted to help you. One night, I was going home from the gym, and I got lost. It was one of the first nights here, so I got lost. Couldn't find my way. I was lost in all these rows of houses. And I went up to these 3 girls, probably 12, 13 years old, and I was like, hey, can you help me find my way home? And they spoke very minimal English. I spoke very minimal Macedonian, but they wouldn't leave me alone until they found somebody that did speak English and was able to tell me exactly where to go. So that was really cool.
Erin, I understand that you met a member of your family that you had no contact with before. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this was amazing. We went down on the second weekend to Filip, and I knew that my dad's dad, so my dedo, was from Filip. He left in 1932 when he was 5 years old and immigrated to Akron, Ohio. So I had no idea what to expect going there. We went for a Pivo Fest that weekend, which was a blast. And I talked to the family I was staying with, Alexandra Morgoska, and I said, hey, do you know this last name? And she's like, yes, I know the guy's 2 daughters from childhood. So Alexandra's father contacted the guy he knows, the father of that family, and we went over and had coffee and some plums and peaches at his house. It was kind of difficult because he only spoke Macedonian, I only spoke English, but we had Natasha, who you guys heard from earlier. She translated for us, and we were able to communicate. We kind of figured out my family tree and lineage. It was amazing. And we were going to go back the next day, on Sunday, because his daughters were going to be back in town, and they speak very good English, so we could have figured everything out and communicated more effectively. However, it was a crazy weekend with Pivo Fest and everything. Everyone was all over the place. So then, I guess that just means I have to go back, and hopefully I can convince my father to come with me as well.
Erin, would you recommend Birthright Macedonia to your peer colleagues back home?
For sure. Birthright Macedonia has been a truly incredible experience. I didn't really know what to expect upon coming here. I was tired, I was lonely. I'd been backpacking through Eastern Europe for 3 weeks, the longest I'd ever been away from home. And I was like, well, if this is like the other places in Eastern Europe that I've been, it's going to be a long 3 weeks. That was a foolish worry. Looking back on it now, I got here at 3 a.m. Birthright arranged for transportation for me from the airport at 3 a.m. They brought me to the Stonebridge Hotel right in the center of Skopje. I stayed at a heavily discounted rate. And from there on, everything just continued. It was first class all the way. We traveled on the weekends. I worked during the week. I really like that I was able to learn things that are going to be relevant when I go back into school, when I get another internship hopefully this summer, and when I start working in the real world. And on top of that, I've learned more about my heritage in the past 20 days than I did in the first 20 years of my life.
Thank you very much, Erin. Appreciate it. I'm with Filip from the United States. Filip, tell us something about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Filip. I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. Currently attending the University of Cincinnati. Entering my final year. My studies are, I'm doing a double major in international business and marketing. So after this year, once I graduate, planning to pursue a career in Washington, D.C., something in governmental affairs or diplomacy, international affairs, something like that.
Okay. And how did you find out about Birthright Macedonia?
So Birthright Macedonia, I actually found out about it by editing a few videos from UMD when I interned with the United Macedonian Diaspora last year in Washington. I was editing videos from the Skopje Global Conference from UMD, where you gave a speech about Birthright. Found it extremely interesting. I knew I wanted to spend my summer here in Macedonia for 2015, and I just thought it would be a great experience. You got in touch with us with the Generation M program, and it was kind of perfect timing.
Great. Super. And you've been here for 3 weeks. Tell us about your internship. Where was it, and what did you do for 3 weeks?
For my internship, we got placed, it was me and Erin at the cabinet of Jerry Namoff, who's the Minister for Foreign Investments for the Republic of Macedonia. It was incredible. First off, it was exactly tailored to what we studied. I'm studying marketing, international business, and what I was working on was like a LinkedIn campaign for outreach for foreign investments, which is basically sales and marketing. Perfect for my studies. We did some executive summaries on bilateral relations with Macedonia and Israel, and translated a few documents, and helped out the team members with anything really. We really did work that mattered.
And your host family, you lived with a family for 3 weeks. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I lived with Milka and Katerina Trajkova, and I actually knew Milka previous to this with the internship in Washington, D.C. Luckily, she was taking somebody in, and when she said, "We saw you on the Birthright participant list, of course, come stay with us for 3 weeks." It was great. 3 weeks with two young people just like myself. When I first arrived, I said, I'll come in at 7:30. And she said, "All right, great, we're going in at 8:30. So it was a nice experience for 3 weeks there for sure.
Now, you're reasonably fluent in the Macedonian language, so you had no trouble with language, I take it?
Fluent, no. Not yet, at least. But I would say I can definitely with ease. And even traveling through the Balkans, that was a kind of a real test for me. I got around there as well. But I can definitely make conversation. And I would say, yeah.
I envy you. Would you recommend Birthright to your colleagues and friends back home?
I mean, I hope I can be an advocate for Birthright when I go back. It's an incredible experience for the first, second, third generation. Doesn't matter which generation you are. I can go even far as saying it's life-changing. Definitely figured out I want to spend as much time in Macedonia as possible, as my career will allow. So absolutely, it's passing on the experience. I think that'll be the next step for me.
Great. Any closing comments that you want to offer? Just,
I guess, promoting it as much as possible. I think every young Macedonian should look into this. If you were, like I said, first, second, third generation, definitely look into Birthright Macedonia. It's eye-opening. You get treated extremely well. We were very pleasantly surprised with everything, to be honest. So look into it and apply, and hopefully we'll see you in future years.
Thank you, Filip. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Peter.